Greetings, Earthlings. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Gaming Aroma podcast. With me, your weary host, KDB. Video game chat every week. Nope, not every week. That's a lie. Every couple of weeks, sometimes every 3 weeks. Video game chat fueled by coffee. This is my first episode of 2025. Happy New Year. Happy belated New Year. I don't think you can say that anymore, so I apologise. I've had a busy start to the year, so it's took me a little while to get my first episode out. And plus, I've been doing some other shows and things like that, so don't hold it against me. But yeah, hope everyone's okay. Hope you're doing good. Hope 2025 is treating you well. It is a bit of a grim day here today in the south of England, but 2025 is going okay so far. Like I said, it's been a busy start, lots going on. I think I got massive burnout from work last week. Like, I was feeling really raring to go for that first week back and smashed through loads of stuff. And then the second week, also kind of equally busy. And I got to like Thursday lunchtime, and it was just like, you know, like your energy needle that's sort of fine or can be balancing around. It just kind of nosedived, and then for the rest of Thursday afternoon, and then Friday I worked from home Friday. It was a bit of a struggle to get through work, but I got lots done, so that was good. And I've been having a pretty chill weekend, feeling refreshed. Video games 2025. We are a couple of weeks in, just over a couple of weeks in, and already everything's going crazy. Now, I need to forewarn you. I think the gloves are coming off this episode. He threatens. Before I get to the news, what's been going on? I've already talked about work. Work's been busy. Life's going okay. Pumping out the other shows, or at least trying to. I've got a day today where I'm doing like quite a bit of podcast recording to hopefully get ahead on some stuff. Been playing some video games, which I'm going to get to at the end. And quite excitingly, I did want to shout this out because this is my first year taking part in it. Introduced to it by some friends, and that is Fantasy Critic. Now, some people listening to this show might know what Fantasy Critic is, some people might not. Imagine fantasy football, but with video game releases throughout the year. Now, you may or may not also know that my buddies David and Alex, my buddies / co-hosts on Gears Intel, they also have the A Winner Is You podcast, which has a sub-series of called the Video Game Draft, where me and the guys, we pick a year of video games. We have to each pick 10 games from that year that released, and then we gain we gain points based on the score that those games got in their Metacritic rating. Pretty straightforward. So we've done we might have done like 7 or 8 of those episodes now over the past year and a half. And I love doing it because you just kind of get to reminisce and go through history about games, talk about the good and the bad, and you have to kind of approach it with, you got to be smart and battle between playing with your head and your heart. The same way I do with fantasy football, or soccer, as some of my American listeners may refer to it. And I play FPL as well, and I'm doing shit this year. Like the Friday, just to quickly sidetrack, the Friday night football, those Friday deadlines, I know they've been around for I don't know how long Friday night football's been a thing, 3 years, maybe more. The deadlines just catch me out all the time, so I just miss the team picking so many times, and it fucks my season. But anyway, Video Game Draft podcast, love doing with the guys, and then have been invited to take part in this Open Critic League, which is very similar. Basically, a group of us, we pick 5 games. You have 10 slots. You actually pick 5 games, and then you have like a pool of money that you can bid on games kind of later after the initial draft draw. And then the games release, and you get points based on their Open Critic score, not Metacritic. And that is underway. And I got together with the folks for that last weekend, and we did the draft and had an absolute blast with that. I'm just trying to go to the website now. So here we go. Fancy Critic, my team, or actually it's not my team, so you pick a name of a publisher, and mine is Blast Processors. Tell everybody my picks. Here's what I picked for the year, for 2025. So I'm hoping that these games that come out all have really high scores and bank me loads of points. And I've gone for Grand Theft Auto 6, Civilization 7, Avowed, an unannounced mainline 3D Mario platformer. Yeah, that's already come back to bite me in the ass. Fable, Judas, Assassin's Creed Shadows, and Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, which has released. So I'm in a league with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people. There's 6 of us. I'm currently the only person with score, and that is Donkey Kong Country Returns, which has come out to a rating of 78 on OpenCritic, which gives me 8. I was really hoping for a Nintendo bump there, but the game has come out, and even the Nintendo websites and the Nintendo blogs have been quite critical of it, saying it's... Because I think this is the 3rd time this game has been released. It came out on the DS, I think it came out on the Wii, and now here it is on the Switch. And it's very minor upgrades, and you're paying 50 quid. So people have been a bit critical about that. The game is apparently incredible. I've never played it. It looks awesome. I'm really desperate to pick it up for the Switch. I'm not paying 50 quid for it, but that probably means I'll never get it because Switch games do not come down in price. But yeah, we are away, and I'm off the mark in in Fancy Critic. And apparently this is a thing that's been around for years and years, and is quite popular. It was news to me, and I'm so glad that there's a video game version of this. So currently I'm in the lead, but only because nobody else's games have been released yet. Some big players this year: Monster Hunter, Wilds, Elden Ring, Night Rain, Ghosts of Yotei, Metroid Prime 4. What are the big ones? Doom: The Dark Ages, which is a game I wanted. One of my backup picks was the new Dynasty Warriors game, and that's come out to a really good score. I think it's like 82 or something. So yeah. Are you playing Fantasy Critic? Let me know. I don't know if it's too late to set up a league. I guess it's not. I mean, the idea is that you set up a league at the start of the year because you want to play through the whole year. But I suppose you can set up a league, whenever you want. You've just got a shorter window of time. So yeah, go check it out. And wish me luck. Wish me all the best. Cross your fingers. I don't know what's coming out next. I think it's Avowed. And then Assassin's Creed Shadows. And I've picked that Assassin's Creed Shadows game because I'm not like a massive fan. This is the thing about picking between your head and your heart. I feel like everything I've seen of that game looks quite good, and they've kept delaying it because they know they cannot release a shit game. Because if they release a shit game, it's probably the end of Ubisoft altogether. So I think it's going to be good, but it's not coming. It's been pushed to March. It was going to be February, and it's been pushed to March, I think, or a couple of weeks or something. And then so I think Avowed is the next one coming out for me. But then I say the Mario 3D platformer has bitten me in the ass already because obviously the Switch 2 has been revealed, which I'm going to talk about later. And with it, they've teased a new Mario Kart game, so I don't think we're getting a Mario Kart and a 3D platformer in the same year. Did Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Odyssey come out in the same year? Maybe they did. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, April 2017. Yeah, maybe they did. Yeah, Odyssey, October 2017. There's still a chance. That this launches with a mainline 3D Mario game. Anyway, so yeah, I wanted to shout out Fantasy Critic. I'll cover it here on the show. I'll keep you all posted about how I'm doing, which is probably going to be terribly because you never know with review scores these days. No guarantees of anything. So let's get to the news. Like I said, we're only a couple of weeks in, and there's been big news all round. I'm going to start with news that's kind of almost a couple of weeks old now, but I wanted to touch on it. It's kind of repeating stuff that's come up before, but I guess we could take this as more confirmation. Xbox games are coming to PlayStation again. There was... Now, before I get into this, I don't usually kind of speak on leaks, but this is like a specific This is a specific thing where it's like less about a creative project, and more related to, this is business leaks. And business leaks I'm kind of more open to and acknowledging business strategy, because I think that, I don't know if I'm kidding myself with this, but for me, I feel like I have more of a right to know about this stuff. I don't like it when creative projects and, games get leaked early and stuff, because that's more of a business thing. That's a lot of, there's a lot of, not to sound kind of snobby and stuff, there's a lot of artistry going involved in it, and it's really unfair for those people that are putting their heart and soul to it. I don't really have any sympathy for the business strategy of giant corporations leaking, because I'm the one spending money on them and giving them money. So yeah, it's a complicated thing, but maybe that kind of makes sense about why I don't mind speaking about this, because this was a leak. This isn't officially confirmed news. So to recap, I'm going to read the article from Windows Central here, because there was an initial story and then Windows Central kind of followed it up. So rumors say Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to Xbox in 2025, as more Xbox games head to PS5 and Nintendo. Speaking on his podcast, Nate the Hate shared new rumours on Xbox's future plans. It's a new year for Xbox, and this means new games. Just early this week, Microsoft revealed that its upcoming Developer Direct stream will showcase Doom: The Dark Ages. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we know all that. Credible tipster Nate the Hate shared some rumours on his podcast for games we can expect to see hit PlayStation 5 and the unannounced Nintendo Switch later this year. For Xbox fans, Nate the Hate suggested that Final Fantasy VII Remake is hitting Xbox in 2025, with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth aiming for 2026. According to Mr. Hate, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and Halo the Master Chief Collection are both slated for the multi-platform treatment, with each game launching on PlayStation 5 and Nintendo Switch 2. I can corroborate independently with our own sources that all of the above is most likely true, and it seems that Microsoft isn't stopping there though. As previously noted by Xbox CEO Phil Spencer said, there are no red lines when it comes to games that Microsoft aims to bring to other platforms. I noted in an analysis late last year that any Xbox game is capable of making a good return on investment from going multi-platform. Any Xbox game that is capable of making a good return will absolutely do so. To that end, I've heard that in addition to the above, Hellblade 2, Age of Mythology, and potentially Gears of War 1 Ultimate Edition are also slated for PlayStation 5 this year too, although I'm unsure if that includes a Nintendo Switch 2. I would expect that it most likely does if I had to guess. So I didn't say that. This is from Jez Corden at Windows Central, so who is generally very reliable with his sources as well. It's just more of the same, really. I feel like a broken record. We all know it's happening. The interesting thing about this was a couple of interesting things. I suppose number one is that Final Fantasy is coming to Xbox. We all know Square Enix have been really disappointed and upset with the sales of those games. I'm not really a Final Fantasy fan, but it does annoy me that this third-party game is money-hatted by Sony, or at least has been temporarily. But it seems like Square Enix have had enough of that, and they're like, no, we need to be everywhere now to make making these games worthwhile. So that's good to hear. But then the other big thing, obviously, is that the key franchises are named here. So Halo Master Chief Collection, Microsoft Flight Simulator as well. I suppose you could say that's a key franchise. It's got Microsoft in the name for a start. And Gears of War. Now, we talked a lot about exclusivity on the recent Gears Intel episode, and which I do recommend you go listen to, because that was an episode generally about multiplayer for Gears of War surviving in the modern multiplayer, era, and what that model is. But we talked about it a lot, and my feelings have never really changed, and they are that Gears of War and any Microsoft franchise should go multi-platform. I think Microsoft is going multi-platform to avoid having to shut everything down, but also that is the way the industry is going anyway in order to sustain itself. Xbox is obviously, in third place, if you like, in terms of hardware. Everyone has thought that means they're going to move away from hardware. Apparently not, though. But they are shifting towards focusing on the service and focusing on the ecosystem that they want you to sign into, and Game Pass, and just getting all those games everywhere. And PlayStation might be enjoying big hardware sales, they're not enjoying the, I suppose, profits that should be in line with something like that, because everything's changing. And I've got more to say about this to kind of expand in a minute once I get to some of the other headlines here. But yes, more Xbox games going over. I think this is a good thing. I think it makes sense. Microsoft is just being slightly ahead of the curve. They sort of know, they're cursed in that they know the way they're going, but going there a bit too soon can alienates them a little bit from everything in the industry that's going on. But everything is shifting so quickly that I don't think it's going to matter so much this time. They're now officially the biggest publisher of games on PlayStation, which is a wild thing to think, but that is just the case. As a fan of gaming and as a fan of franchises like Gears of War, and I like Halo a lot too, I think you can't keep these locked to a third place hardware box. I mean, they're on PC, obviously, as well. But, yeah, and I said on Gears Intel that, yeah, the Master Chief Collection, that should have been on PlayStation a long time ago. And I'd be super excited to see if that was going to come to PlayStation. And the Switch too. So just quickly, like if the Master Chief Collection is coming to the Switch too, this presents a really interesting and I think really fucking exciting situation. And this can apply to Gears of War as well. We can effectively go back to the good old days of having a LAN party with your friends. And don't get me wrong, I don't know when I'm going to get the time to do something like this, but you got 3 or 4 of your mates in a room with your Switches, your Nintendo Switch 2s, playing Halo, rounds of Halo 2 or whatever, in the palms of your hands. You don't need to set up big TVs. You can all get together and have a LAN party easily. And you think about that, and it's like, I need this to happen now. Why is this not already a thing? And Nintendo, they've obviously established this new way of playing games. This, the days of where handheld versions of games on the DS and stuff were different to the console games. They're gone. Now it's just, we want the games, and the games do exist, like with Steam Deck. They are just the version of the game, but portable. So Nintendo have established this as a thing, but the problem is the Switch was so underpowered that all the big games that everybody loves, well, not all of them, a lot of the big games that everybody loves and the new games that come out, Call of Duty, for example, or Halo Infinite, when that came out, they can't run on the Switch. But the idea that there's a more powerful Switch coming out, and it can run games like the Master Chief Collection and Gears of War Ultimate Edition, and you can invite your mates round for, a few beers and some snacks and go nuts, like maybe get a bit freaky with your Nintendo Switch 2s, having a bit of a LAN party. We need this. We need this to happen. And it sounds like it's happening. So I am so fucking excited about this. Like, this is the way to go. This is the idea of service and ecosystems. Like, this is the main thing everybody wants you to be a part of. And Xbox and Microsoft are spreading themselves like a virus everywhere they possibly can, because they don't have laurels to rest on in the same way that Nintendo and Sony currently do, in the fact that their hardware is selling really well, and they do still, make they make money on the game sales and stuff like that. But I feel like it's gonna peter out. We know it's petering out already, and yeah, I'm gonna get to it more in a minute. But overall, Xbox games going to PlayStation, Final Fantasy coming to Xbox. It's just another sign, man. Like, this is the way it's going. I've definitely said on this show before, it feels like every single week there is another, I was going to say alarm bell, not alarm bell. There's another ping, there's another radar ping, another signal, another smoke signal on the hill that things are changing, and we're going to see them change even faster going forward, without a doubt. So, Is that all I wanted to say on these games going over? Yes, I think it is. Now, the next news story, kind of connected. Strategy, all this kind of stuff. You know, I love to talk a bit of strat on this show. Let me open my news link. Sony has cancelled 2 more live service games, reportedly including a God of War title. I'm going to read the news here from VGC, which is covering a Jason Schreier report on Bloomberg. Bloomberg's Jason Schreier reports that Sony cancelled live service games in development at Bend Studio and Bluepoint Games, a report which was then confirmed by a Sony spokesperson. So this isn't a leak. This is, well, you know, it kind of was a leak. It was a report, and then it was confirmed. This is official. This has happened. While Schreier's article doesn't describe the games in detail, he then took to Blue Sky to confirm that the game Bluepoint was working on was a live service God of War title. Sony's spokesperson confirmed that both games had been cancelled following a recent review, but stressed that neither studio would be closed down as a result of the cancellations. Yeah, not sure. Take that with a giant fucking grain of salt. Bend and Bluepoint are highly accomplished teams who are valued members of the PlayStation Studios family, and we are working closely with each studio to determine what are the next projects. When the fuck are we going to see them? 6 years' time? Anyway, sorry. Bend Studios' last game was 2019's Days Gone, which had released to a mixed critical reception. The studio posted a job listing in March 2024 looking for a lead project manager with hands-on game development experience of leadership roles shipping AAA live service games. PlayStation acquired Bluepoint in September 2021, almost a year after the release of its last game. PS5 launched a remake of Demon's Souls. The studio hasn't released anything since then, though it did provide support work during development of God of War Ragnarok. Last June, Bluepoint president Marco Thrush said the studio, which was best known for its works on remake and remasters, was aiming to work on original content going forward. Sony's success with live service games saw extreme highs and lows last year. Helldivers 2 was undoubtedly one of the surprise successes of stories of 2024, selling 12 million copies across PC and PS5 in its first 12 weeks. On the other hand, Concord has to go down as the biggest failure of last year, with Sony pulling the game from sale and taking it offline within just 2 weeks of release. Okay. Here's where I said, I said the gloves are going to come off later. They're going to come off a couple of times. And here's the first time they're coming off. To quote myself again, because I love the sound of my own voice. And I love confirming my own my own opinion and insight as gospel. Anyone's welcome to come on this show and argue with me, by the way, at any time. Just drop me a message. Where the fuck do we start with this? Right. I definitely said, I think very early in the life of Gaming Aroma podcast, if I was a PlayStation owner, if I just had a PlayStation, a PS5, and, I was in that Sony ecosystem, spending all this money, 450 quid for a console, 60, 70 quid per game, £50 if you're lucky, is Astrobot £50? And last year, with all the shit that was going down with Bungie and stuff like that, the cancellation of The Last of Us Online, I would have been asking serious questions of Sony. People like to rip it out of Microsoft and Xbox quite a lot for being terrible at communication and maybe flip-flopping a little bit, which is definitely true, and they do. Xbox and Microsoft do seem to respond. I have sometimes felt left a little bit out in the cold as a sort of original, Xbox player and supporter, but I can see a lot of logic in the decisions that they make, even if, plans change is the sort of term we hear. And the fact is, I'm still getting the games. I'm still getting lots of games. 2022, was it? That was a rough year where not a lot came out. But then you've got Game Pass, and that, to me, as a service, pays for itself over and over and over. I did some maths on a recent episode of this show where it showed that the value that I get out of Game Pass between myself and my son is it's just no question. For me personally, I have got more than enough from my Xbox and the money that I spend. To be a PS5 owner and an investor of PlayStation, if you like, how can you not be asking questions of what the fuck they're doing? Like this, they've now cancelled more first-party games in the past year, 18 months, than they've put out. And I don't want to hear about exclusives. I don't want to hear about second-party and third-party exclusives. This is an expensive bit of kit. These are expensive games. Their CEO, or whatever Jim Ryan's job title was quietly let go, retired, whatever you want to say. Other people, key people in the past year, have left Sony. Shuei Yoshida, industry legend. Connie Booth, another legend at Sony. She left last year. They've got new management in place. They're clearly shifting what they're doing. The past 12 months at PlayStation have been insane, and they seem to get away with it. And I'm not console warring here. I'm said before, I'm a consumer warer. I completely am. Like, I've been on the verge of buying a PlayStation for a long time, even though I can't really afford it, because there are some beautiful looking games on that console that I'm currently unable to play. The fact they've now cancelled more games than they've put out in the past, year and a half or whatever, is unacceptable. These teams, Bend and Bluepoint, if they're starting from scratch on games and they're aiming for anything towards AAA, when are you going to see something from them? It's going to be years away. Games cancelled, from Naughty Dog. Concord being cancelled. And, you can have a conversation about, okay, what these games are and what they were and whether they were good or not. But this is a colossal fuck up in so many ways, multiple times. And I don't know if this is the Jim Ryan era. I mean, I suppose it is, right? And they're kind of now in repair mode for that. But this is a bunch of executives at the top spending hundreds of millions on projects and then pulling the plug and, frankly, leaving the consumers out in the dust. They've just released a £700 console that they want you to buy. For what? More cancelled games? Another remaster? Another port? This is the type of stuff that if Xbox was doing this, the outrage you would see, you wouldn't be able to escape it. And I've seen a couple of people kind of calling this out, but how are they getting away with this? What Xbox talks about is games going to other platforms, and people say Xbox is dead because it's putting its games everywhere. But no one's saying PlayStation's dead because they're fucking cancelling every single thing they do. PSVR 2 is in the toilet and just been abandoned. They've got a pro console that nobody wants to buy. Well, of course, some people are buying it, but you know what I mean. They're cancelling games, no first party. Helldivers 2 has outsold Spider-Man 2. I mean, what is going on? This is not good. This is... And I listen to I listen to some Xbox content creators, and I listen to PlayStation content creators as well. There's a few of them out there because I like to get views from all sides. And as I've said, there's been a few people saying, definitely calling out how dire this is. There's some people kind of framing this as good business, and I'm just kind of flabbergasted when I hear that. This is bad. And I think I said earlier in the show that you're going to see shifts faster, I think, than ever before. I don't think the layoffs are over as well. I did read something earlier that there was some analysts that are predicting video game industry growth for the first time, like in 3 years or something, which is cool, but it doesn't mean that everyone's safe. What the hell is Sony doing? Like, this feels like decisions from a few years ago being U-turned on. they are pushing hard into TV and film. I mean, they're doing more. They seem to be announcing more TV and film projects than they are announcing games at this rate, which is just, yeah. They've kind of had a taste of that, I guess HBO success. And that's fine. Like, cool. Transmedia, cross-media, all this kind of stuff. The Last of Us TV show, I love it. I'm happy to take more of that. But their priorities are all over the place. They seem weirdly obsessed with Horizon and Aloy, which, okay, has sold loads of copies, right? But you hear mixed stuff about this. And I know Horizon fans that are even kind of frustrated with the way that they're handling this, and just, remakes and remasters and multiple TV projects and all this. It just feels like panic and it feels like they're moving away. We know they want to be the Apple of gaming. Cool. And if you want to make sure you're only putting out quality, cool. But at this rate, since 2023, so Spider-Man 3 came out in 2023, is that right? No, it's Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 2 came out in 2023. So that year they had one first-party game. It was that. I don't think I'm wrong there. Sony first-party games 2023. Yeah, so Spider-Man 2 and also DLC for Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores. And they released, that is when PSVR 2, right, I think released in 2023. But at this rate, like, what is the price of this so-called quality? And you want to have another conversation about quality. Spider-Man 2 costing double what Spider-Man 1 cost. Did that game deliver double the quality? People who've played it tell me no. They say it's a perfectly good game, but you didn't really see that money on screen. So at this rate, to get that quality, you're getting 1, maybe 2 games a year. Now, of course, in 2024, you got a lot of exclusive games. You got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you got Helldivers, you got Stellar Blade, you got Astrobot. I'm on record saying 2024 was the first time in PS5's life cycle that I've gone, I think I'd like to pick one up now. There's absolutely a bunch of games worth playing. I want to buy a PS5 tomorrow, and all those games is going to cost me upwards of £750. That's money I haven't got. It's inaccessible with a questionable long-term output. They've announced the new Naughty Dog game. When's that coming out? This year? Probably not. Yeah. I know how I sound. I know that I sound console worry. But I feel like Frank Grimes sometimes from The Simpsons. Like, why are people not more annoyed about this and more angry about this? This is unacceptable. What the fuck are they doing with all this money? I mean, cool, like, giving them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they've identified that what they were doing was wrong, and they're course correcting, and that can't be done overnight, and it takes time, and sure, I get it. But, I'm looking at those studios at Bend and Blue Point. They've said, no, they're not going to be shut. If those fucking studios get shut down, yeah. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And I'm not done with hating things today. No, that's an exaggeration. I definitely don't hate it. News topic number 3. The Switch 2 has been revealed, to the absolute shock of no one. Nintendo started to piss everyone off because they delayed the reveal of the Switch 2. We all knew it was real. Leaks coming out of the arses of every third party, peripheral maker. It was at is it CES, the tech show? Yeah, and for some reason Nintendo held off, and they're like, no, we're going to show you it when we want to. But they released it, they revealed it, they confirmed it. It was a first look, if you like. Where's my official news thing? Here we go. After countless months of speculation, this again is from VGC. I usually use VGC for the news on this podcast. Disclaimer, there's some people at VGC that I think are really annoying, but, what can you do? After countless months of speculation, Nintendo has finally officially announced Nintendo Switch 2. The successor to the Nintendo Switch was revealed in a trailer published on Nintendo's social media and YouTube channels on Thursday, which features a 2-minute look at the new hardware. As suggested by previous leaks, the Switch 2 looks similar to the original console, with the same layout of a screen surrounded by 2 Joy-Con controllers. However, this time the controllers appear to connect with a powerful magnet, making it less likely they will loosen and slide apart from the console over time. The Joy-Cons also now appear to be black, with the colour appearing under the sticks at the side where they connect to the console on their removable side grips. The hardware also comes with a longer stand and a wider tilt, which lets it lie almost horizontally. The video also confirms the presence of an extra button on the right Joy-Con. If you're falling asleep out there, I don't blame you. The video also briefly shows the Joy-Con sliding across the ground towards the console, lending further credibility to the speculation that at least one of the consoles will have the ability to work as an optical mouse. Nintendo has yet to officially confirm a release date or price for the console, meaning at least some speculation will continue as the release nears. There will be a Nintendo Direct focusing on the Switch 2 on April 2nd, which is flipping ages away. So yeah. Where am I at with this? I'm excited for the Switch 2. My Switch 1 is a launch year Switch. It feels a bit slow. The battery isn't great. I've been through many Joy-Cons, but my current Joy-Cons aren't very good. I'm ready for a more powerful, slightly bigger Switch that is kind of the same thing, I suppose. But I do have some more thoughts on this. As I said, well done if you didn't fall asleep while I was reading that. The reveal was boring, and the reveal was rubbish. there's nothing. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that. Like, I am still probably going to be there day one for Nintendo Switch 2. Like, if you're asking me this year if I'm buying a PS5 or a Switch 2, it's going to be the Switch 2. My credit card will help me out there. But this was a terrible reveal. It just confirmed what we already knew. The most exciting thing, I suppose, about it was the the two most interesting things: the little optical mouse, potential use. Okay, fine. And then the new Mario Kart was teased, but they showed nothing else. And I think the fact that we now have to wait, February, March, nearly 2.5 months before we find out about actual hardware specs, how powerful this thing is, what the UI is going to be like, are they doing anything to Nintendo Switch Online? They confirmed backwards compatibility, which is good, but how are the new Switch 2 games going to work? Are they going to all be on the cartridge or not? We don't know. This did nothing for my hype, because it's just like, I knew the Switch 2 was coming out. I'd seen a lot of the leaks as well. Nintendo have annoyed me at this rate, and I'm just like, yes, get on with it. So I will be there day one. They pissed me off, but I'm still going to be there, queuing, getting my Switch 2, or digitally queuing, if you like. But there is another conversation to be had about, the direction they're going. Like, I think many people think, yeah, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. Cool. I hope we're getting a bit more. I hope they've got something up their sleeve, because at this rate, a beefier Switch 2, if this is going to cost £450, which is the rumour, it's going to hurt. Even though I'm going to be there day one, that's really going to hurt. Because the tech is still going to be old and still going to be a step down compared to the new consoles. And I think what we're going to see is, classic first-party Nintendo exclusives, which I'm sure will all be great. And that is the reason I have a Switch 1, is their exclusives generally are good. But then I think we're going to see a lot of old games coming to Switch 2. Like I said at the start of the show, the Master Chief Collection, Gears of War. We're going to see a lot of games ported to the Switch 2. And I think being there at launch when this direct happens, if they reveal that the Master Chief Collection is coming there at launch along with a new Mario Kart, give us, dates for Metroid Prime 4 and potentially all this other stuff, that's huge. The Master Chief Collection is a game from 2014. This tells you so much about the iterative nature of the games industry these days. So there's a bit of cognitive dissonance here, because I get it. We know it's iterative. This is how everything is. Phones, all kind of tech, TVs, gaming, it's all iterative. It's all about the push towards cloud and ecosystems, etc. But there is still part of me that is disappointed and, feels sad that innovation is kind of dead. When Nintendo are generally the ones you kind of look towards to always innovate in some way. They're not doing that here. And it's probably the smart move, I suppose. I think, the other thing I will say is the name is shit. I can't believe they actually went with Switch 2. And not only is the name bad, the logo is even worse. Just having the giant 2 on the dock there. This is really lazy. Even at least when PlayStation went to PlayStation 2, they redesigned this and had this awesome logo. This is not exciting. The Switch 2. Why didn't they call it the Super Switch? I've heard people kind of shit on that and say that that's dumb. I don't think it is. They should have called it the Super Switch. They really, really should have. If you want to differentiate these two consoles, give it a different name. The Nintendo Switch 2 for 450 quid, if that's what it's going to be. Yeah. But yeah, so there's kind of me that's disappointed that the innovation is kind of disappearing. And I think these two things can be true, because I watched this launch reveal and I was completely underwhelmed, massively underwhelmed. I showed it to my kid and he was very excited at the concept of a new Mario Kart, and he was very excited when the controllers were moving along like a mouse. His exact words, it's really good that you can drive the little controllers. Which I did put a post out on Blue Sky about. But yeah, these two things can be true. That I watched this reveal video and was massively underwhelmed, but the console, and I'm disappointed at its lack of innovation that's missing. But I'm still excited for the console, and that it's probably the right move is to play it safe. I can still be sad about that. I can still ask for more. I can still yearn for more. And speaking about posts on Blue Sky, so I did one last night, which I am just going to read word for word here, because this kind of puts a bow on the news that I've been talking about today. And I was seeing a lot of people online, as I said, first of all, defending Sony and their cancellations, or framing it positively. And then also kind of a lot of people that I really like just kind of having a go at anybody who was underwhelmed by the Switch 2 reveal and complaining about the lack of innovation. It's like, as if I'm stupid. It's like, did I expect? No, this is exactly what I expected. And that, I think that's the most disappointing part about it. And I've seen people saying, well, what did you think they were going to do? What, they can't reinvent the wheel. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And all this. It's like, I get it. But yeah, so I put a post out and I just said, there's lots of people defending a lack of innovation as totally fine, and others saying the cancellation of multiple projects that cost hundreds of millions of dollars is smart. All while we as consumers pay through the nose for products and prices rise multiple times a year. What happened to demanding more from corporations? I've been called like a defender of corporations in the past because I'm quite into the business side of things. There has been so much corporation defending on social media this past week. It's unfucking believable. If you're not enraged about what Sony are doing, I don't know what it's going to take for them to do to piss you off. And if you are completely fine with the lack of innovation, cool. I'm allowed to be disappointed and sad at a lack of innovation. I'd have liked to see something. Now, we haven't had the full story with Switch 2. We may yet at the Nintendo Direct. Like, I think about, okay, the console itself and how it functions is probably not going to be changing. And I guess I'm fine. If they don't do something to Nintendo Switch Online and how the online connectivity works and stuff like that, they might have to go fuck themselves, because that is kind of one thing that might stop me from buying the console. I don't know. Maybe I'm kidding myself, because my kid really wants it as well, and like they are so they are so behind there. So to have the bollocks to not only not innovate and just be iterative and do an iteration on the Switch, but then not improve the stuff that's really shit about it, it's really insulting. And then to ask you to pay a premium, because this is going to be expensive. Like, I mean, they could do something here, because it is old tech inside it, and they're going to rely on a lot of AI upscaling and stuff. They could put something out that is a really attractive price point. If it's 300, I mean, is it going to be 300 quid? Probably not. I think we're dreaming if it's 300 pounds. If it was, cool. And that kind of softens the blow. But I don't, that is not, however, that's not, I have no reason to think that, based on the entire way everything works in the gaming industry and the world right now. Nobody's doing this. Nothing is cheap. Nobody's subsidizing everything. Everything is put out at full premium price. And it's just like, even Greg's just put their prices up. It's painful. So I don't see the Switch 2 launching to anything other than a eye-watering price point, even though it's tech that's older, than the current gen consoles. But then if you want to talk about current gen, in inverted commas, the newest console is the PS5 Pro, and it's £700 with no games. So I hope I'm wrong, and I hope they've done something here that allows them to really keep that cost down. Cool. But if they're going to hit us with a £450 console that they've done nothing to apart from make bigger and let you play games from 10 years ago, Master Chief Collection, etc., then, yeah, I'm going to be asking questions of Nintendo as well. So, I told you the gloves are coming off today. I'm really not trying to be negative. Like, there is a lot of good stuff happening in the game industry. There's a lot of exciting stuff. We're just living in the shift. And I do often try to promote positivity, and particularly on my social media. Like, I'm rarely ultra negative, and I don't get into arguments. I just talk about things that I like and share photos of things that I like. But now and again, you feel a bit like you're not allowed to just be unhappy with something. I feel like saying that Switch 2 reveal was boring is not controversial, but for some reason, some very prominent figures online imply that you're kind of an idiot and being unfair for saying that. Yeah, I'm not really on board with that. In spite of that, I'm excited for the Switch 2. As I said, day one. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for the news today, right? I've ranted and raved enough. And I think I try to keep abreast of everybody's opinions and see what people are saying and stuff. I feel like sometimes I'm generally in line with the opinions of the masses, and then sometimes I'm not. And this is just one of those times where I feel like maybe I'm not. Although, I mean, lots of people said that they thought it was a crap reveal. But if you think what I'm saying is absolute nonsense, let me know. Comment on the podcast. Comment on the YouTube version. Come and speak to me. Message me on Blue Sky. I'm going to give my links out at the end. Okay, so as I say, that does it for the news. More ranting to come in future. I just had to stop the recording and sneeze violently twice. Right, what have I been playing? A couple of things that I definitely want to talk about before I wrap up today. The big one. Came back from New Year's holiday. I didn't talk about this on this show, but so for New Year, it feels like a lifetime ago now. I went away with friends and, my own family and all their kids. We stayed in a converted barn in Devon, which sounds really posh. It was not posh at all. Where I was effectively cut off from the internet and phone signal for 3 days. And it was awesome. Had a great time. But I didn't get to play any video games while I was away. And I came back from the holiday, ready for 2025. Still had a few days off work. In 2024, I did the thing where I set myself the challenge to finish as many games as possible. Finish more games in a year than I ever have before. And I definitely smashed that. Like, I don't know if I can't pull up my stats in front of me, but I played probably over 100 different games. I didn't finish 100 different games. I ended up finishing 49, so I was just shy of the big 5-0, which really annoyed me. But the game that I finished 2024 with was a replay of Halo 2, the campaign all the way through. So that was quite nice. That was quite nostalgic. And then came back from holiday, and so for the start of 2025, and I still had some Christmas money left over. My mum and my dad gave me a little bit of Christmas money. And I had enough money to get myself a new game. And I've already talked about it on Gears Intel, and I think I did on my segment for Starfield Sandwich as well, is I finally taken the plunge on Cyberpunk 2077. Went to CD Keys, got an absolute bargain of a deal, I think 30 quid for the whole package. I did really want to buy this game physical, but it was quite expensive for the complete physical version, and I only had so much Christmas money, so went for Cyberpunk 2077 because I did that thing last year where I finished as many games as possible. This year, I'm not doing that. This year, I am going to take my time. I'm just going to play what I want to play, focus on some backlog stuff, and soak things up again. Really get lost in certain worlds and stuff like that. That's my plan for this year. And I thought, what better way to start 2025 with than a 100-hour RPG? And I thought, if I don't start it now, I don't know when I'm going to get to it. Had a clear window and I've started. I am like 18 hours into it, Cyberpunk 2077. Can't speak, as usual. Fantastic so far. I definitely got some thoughts, like, on Starfield Sandwich, I did like a Starfield and Cyberpunk comparison thing, because that was obviously a big conversation when Starfield launched. They're similar in some ways, but they're also very different. Cyberpunk takes itself way more seriously than Starfield does. Not that Starfield doesn't take itself seriously, and it has, I think, some really kind of bold and, profound themes and stuff like that. Cyberpunk dabbles with the profound stuff, but is more fully leaning into the we want to be a cool, sexy, smooth, noir video game. And it does it for the most part. It's taken me so long to get there, obviously because the game was broken for a long time, so God bless them 3 years later for having a good package. But I'm playing it, and it feels kind of like a Bethesda game because it's got the first person, and I know you can switch to third person in Bethesda games, but it focuses on first person. Cool character stuff, like I'm written so many files or data slates or whatever they are to read. But this game is really fully about mood and this, like I said, this cyberpunk is obviously a style as well. Cyberpunk noir-y style. Way more talking than shooting. I thought there was going to be more action than I've had so far, which is fine. It feels like a slow burn. The whole prologue took me probably about 4 hours, I think, which is quite a long prologue. Which is good, but I'm allowing it to, I was going to say wash over me, not wash over me. I'm allowing myself to get lost in it, so I am taking my time, and I'm really liking it. Like the style is right up my street. I've always kind of been into this style. It wants to be very grown up. It's lacking some of the humour of The Witcher for me, but it's fine. It just means this isn't really a game I can play every day. It's not because it's not that it's not fun. It's just pretty hardcore. It's pretty hardcore, but it is super cool, super sexy. It thinks smoking is the best thing in the world. A lot of the characters are smoking. It's not GTA. Like, it's got some kind of GTA stuff, but it feels very close, more closer to, an RPG style. And so what I've done, like, one of the game's big selling points is this notion of being something called a net runner, where you effectively scan and you can hack things around you. So you can, turn off security cameras and hack a lot of the people have cyberware inside their bodies, and you can overheat them and distract people and do stuff. So I kind of made a choice at the start. It's like, right, I can either play this game kind of classically and just be like, good strength, good talker, like every Bethesda RPG I play or whatever, good with shotguns. No, this time I definitely have leaned into making my character being a good talker, because always in RPGs, like, you want to lean into your speech perks, because it can just gain you so much, right, without hassle, if you're not into blowing people's heads off. So I've done that, and then leaning into the netrunner side of things, and really kind of trying to do what Cyberpunk wants me to do, which is explore this system that it's put a lot of work into. And I'm really enjoying it, because it allows you to be very stealthy, and creep up on people and distract enemies. So there is action. You can go in all guns blazing, and it feels very freeing, and you can kind of pretty much do whatever you want. Feels like I'm making choices quite often, and that's something that Starfield gets criticized for. Like, although you can make choices, overall the thing's kind of linear with less consequence or fewer consequences. Feels like there's quite a few more consequences in Cyberpunk, which I'm really enjoying. I'm definitely going to play more tonight, and God knows how long it's going to take me to finish this game. But I will continue to keep you all updated with my progress, and if I manage to see it through to the end. I haven't reached the Phantom Liberty, section of it yet, which I think is about halfway through. So yeah, really loving Cyberpunk. Glad to finally get to it, and I am allowing myself to kind of get lost in it, which is really cool to be doing. Very different to my gaming approach last year, which was more quick bursts and powering through games pretty quickly as much as I could. Speaking of last year, like on my New Year's episode, I remember that I did all my talk about my games of the year, and I completely, in my honourable mentions, didn't mention Indiana Jones. And I think that's because I just finished it, so I sort of, I pushed it aside from my mind. I thought it's done and dusted. But yeah, a quick addendum to last year, my Game of the Year episode, definitely Indiana Jones is an honourable mention, at the very least, possibly even in my final top 4. Incredible game. What else? Balatro. Speaking of games of the year, I just wanted to quickly touch on this because, the game is approaching a year since release. I'm still playing Balatro. Yesterday, I got my second ever win on Balatro, which I know if Alex or David are listening to this, they will, just be kind of like laughing at me with pity because they're winning runs all the time. I don't think I'm not playing it wrong. I genuinely think I've just had bad luck because, luck is a big part of the game. Still playing Balatro, love it. But yeah, we were getting ready to go to town yesterday morning. And I thought, right, I'll have a quick blast while, my kid was getting ready and stuff. My wife was getting ready. And I was on like a fire of a run. And I was just like, we can't go anywhere yet. I'm not turning this off. I have to see it through. I think I was at like ante 6 or something. And it got to the point, it was so tense. But those who play Balatro will know, like, I was focused on face cards and 2 pairs, and I was doing really, really well. And I effectively had my kid and my wife cheering me on for the last 2 antes, or at least the last ante and the last 3 rounds. It got so fucking tense, and I won my second game ever on Balatro, my second run, if you like. At the very last hand, I needed like 40k in score, and I got it without even a strong hand. I just had a 2 pair. I didn't have any face cards. Like, I was always banking on face cards for like a massive boost. No face cards, and I had to just hope and pray, and I just scraped it. And I jumped up from the sofa, celebrated, threw the cushion along the floor, hugged my son. Recorded a video clip on Xbox, and yeah, went out very, very happy. And then the beauty of Balatro is it's like, right, let's go again, and couldn't wait to play more when I got home. And I haven't done this yet, so I currently still just own Balatro on my Xbox. It's now out on phones. I think I'm going to have to buy it on my phone. Like, in my head, I'm like, you don't need to do this. You don't need it on your phone. Just play it when you play it on your Xbox. I'm like, I want to buy it on the Switch. I want to buy it on my Xbox. So I want the physical copy. This game is magic, and I'm still playing it. And that was why it was my game of the year. Like, it's a game that you don't just play once. I'm going to keep going back to, and I can see myself playing this game for years. Who knows what else they're going to add to it in future, and I think Balatro is going to go a long way. I'm so happy to be living in a time where Balatro is a thing. If you're listening to the show and you still haven't played it, just what are you doing? Go and sort it out. Get it. It is everywhere. It's on phones. It's on consoles. It's, just sort it out. Incredible game. Loving Balatro. Still. Okay, right. I've been going an hour, so I am going to wrap it up. Hope everyone has had a fabulous weekend. Hope your 2025 is going well so far. As mentioned on this show a couple of times, I have made the jump to Blue Sky. I outright refused to join Blue Sky because it felt like a dead platform. And in my defense of that thought and that opinion, it was. There was no big, publishers or studios or, I was going to say franchises. There was no big accounts on there. And then some of the big accounts that jumped over, they weren't posting. They weren't using it. In the last couple of weeks, or like maybe just before Christmas and stuff, there's been big shifts in social media and things that some platforms are doing. And I already dislike Twitter anyway. I'm still using Twitter for Gears Intel, but I saw some of these big publishers, big accounts, big journalists, the things that a platform really needs to survive and effectively be a decent place where I can get my news from my daily scrolls and stuff like that. They've all started to appear. And I felt that the jump was warranted. I already had friends on the platform, and it's like, yeah, great. Like, that's cool. But I spoke with friends elsewhere, on WhatsApp, on Discord and stuff. I didn't need to join a new social media platform just for them. So when it became viably a place to go where I can actually get news from and maybe sort of effectively share some of my content, and I saw some of the big people going over, I was like, now's the time. So I have made the jump, and I've made accounts for Tapes from the Waste and Gears Intel and myself. So if you are on Blue Sky, I don't know what my account is. I am at KDB-init on Blue Sky Social. So come and find me. Come and connect with me on Blue Sky. Trying to build my account up there, and I'll be sharing podcasts, talking about movies, talking about music, just all my usual bullshit that I put on social media. Talking about video games, of course. And yeah, come and let me know how wrong I am about everything I've said today. Why Sony are amazing and why Nintendo aren't boring. Come and let me know. And why it's a bad thing that Xbox is sending their games to other platforms. I'd love to hear how wrong I am. It's my favourite thing. Until the next episode, which will be soon. What is it now? It's probably before the end of January, maybe last. I am going away on the next Sunday. I could probably squeeze another episode out. But yes, thank you as always for listening. Thank you for supporting. Spread the good word of Gaming Aroma. Come and listen to my other shows. Gears Intel, First Aid Spray, Tapes from the Waste, Starfield Sandwich. I do loads of shit, and sorry to disappoint you, but it's not slowing down. I've got a new show coming soon, which is very much, it's still in conception stage, but I've got some notes to put together. Me and a buddy of mine are going to be doing a non-gaming show. Stand by for news on that. Till next time, stay safe out there. Take it easy. Bye, 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 bye.